What's going on? It's your boy Aiden here. I am currently in I'm unsure about my style era. So I feel like early in transition, I learned what my style was. Now I'm like a dad and I work from home and I don't really do that much traveling anymore. And I just don't know where my style is. Like, I have a closet full of clothes that I like, but I never wear. This is one of those things. So this is like a cool Islanders jersey that I've always liked, but every time I wear it, I'm always like, who is that guy? Do I know that guy? Because I'm not sure. Same thing with my hair. I mean, y'all have heard me talk about my hair before, but like gave myself a haircut, which I actually don't hate. But I like to think it's because I thought I was cool and making a cool cut, but actually just my clippers broke just straight up in the middle of me doing it. I've been thinking though, I'm been thinking about doing like some type of hair video. So just like a video about testosterone and hair and a little bit of science, but mostly just like opinions. So if you want to hear about that, like the video, comment down below, let me know. I really want to come on here and talk a little bit more in depth about kind of like how to prepare for the next 4 years with a new administration here in the US. And I think there's a couple of different approaches people take. So this is going to be my approach. If you hate it, drop a comment, let me know. If you like it, drop a comment, let me know. But there is a lot of fear, and that fear is very legitimate, 100% legitimate fear. As we hear more and more about cabinet members and, people who are being up for the opportunity to sit on our new administration are not trans friendly historically. They are not trans advocates by any means. If anything, they are the opposite. They are people who are attacking us as trans folks. And that brings a lot of worry to a lot of people, including myself, particularly as somebody who is trans, somebody who has a child, somebody who, I have all of my gender markers changed and everything, but my birth certificate is not changed. The name is, but the gender marker is not. And the main reason that I chose not to change my gender marker was actually out of fear. So my fear was that if all hell broke loose, which is ironic to say because here we are, and I needed to go into hiding, I would have to, like, for myself and my family and my family, like, I would have to detransition because, this is what my mind was. Like, I would have to detransition, which just means I would start saying female, but go live in the woods somewhere on a commune with all my other trans guy friends and families. But if like a regulator came, I would be like, no, I live as a woman, right? Like, just for the safety, so that I wasn't maybe put in jail or, just, put in jail, put into some type of camp. I don't know. But that was always my reasoning of not changing it. And I still somewhat stand behind that. I know that there's options to leave the country, but those options are not that great and very expensive, ones that I could not afford. So, with all of that, a little bit of how I'm approaching the next 4 years. So, getting things updated. So, we have our passports, and we actually can't update them until January. So, we'll be updating them in January and getting Antler one in January, which is plenty of time before the January 20th. So, which is the inauguration. I'm trying to be mild with my language because I don't want this video to get flagged for any weird reasoning. So getting all of your things updated. So if you can get your gender markers changed on your IDs and your passports, do it. If you can get photos, new photos, maybe you have a photo pre-hormones, get a new photo of you now, that type of stuff. If, I don't really know, like some people may want to move, but I always see that as like, who can really just like up and move? Not a lot of people. So it's not like even in the top 5 of options of things to do. But, and then also building your community, right? So like letting your family, if you have a supportive family, letting them know how you're feeling, coming up with a action plan, like a worst case scenario type of plan. Like I've already told Jane Lee that our worst case scenario would be that like I just have to call in my whole family and see how they can support us, whether that's financially, emotionally, housing, all of those things. And then I would also just say, like, if you have a job, keep your job. Like, job security is going to be really important the next few years. So keep your job, even if you hate it. Do not quit your job unless you already have another job lined up. I can't say that any more clearly. Do not quit your job. Also, make sure that, we are in this, like, we are going to save money. We are in the boat as many of you are. We are making it work, and not spending money is going to be really important. So just like we've been calling it like low key, like we're going to have a low key 2025, low key birthdays, low key Christmases, low key holidays, and do a lot of things that don't cost money. That's more about just building memories with our family, celebrating each other, making food, making goodies and cakes and things like that. Ways in which that we can not feel pressure to spend a lot of money, right? We're going to go visit family. We're going to drive there because it's drastically cheaper than if we flew there. So just little things like that. Figuring out how to make that work for you and your family, or you and your partner, whatever that family looks like for you. So updating documents, getting some type of community plan together, saving money, and not quitting your job. Those are like my top 3 things I would say is best to prepare. The 4th thing is mostly just about mentalness, your mental clarity. We don't know what we don't know. We have ideas as to what's going to happen because we have trajectories of how we have seen people act and respond to the trans community in the past. We can assume that those things will be carried through, but we don't actually know, and we don't know what that means for each individual, right? It's very clear for trans youth that there's a risk here. It's going down, and you should be very aware of what's happening as far as the Supreme Court with the Tennessee case and all. I think it's like almost half of the United States has some type of gender affirming care ban on trans youth. That doesn't look good. When it comes to adults, it's a step away, but it's still not very good. It's still not, you don't feel safe. So make sure that, you are not going down too far down rabbit holes. It's okay to be prepared. It's okay to come up with plans. But once you have a plan in place, you got to take a breath. You have to take a step back. You have to understand that it is so easy to come up with this scenario in your head and spiral down. What you can do is come up with a scenario in your head, figure out what those action plans or action steps would be, create a plan, and then put it down and walk away. Because that's one of the biggest things I see right now. People are talking a lot about the physical actions you could take, which are some of the things we talked about before. And I think that mine are a little bit different, but I share all the same sentiment of all the people you see online saying like, this is what you need to do. Get your name changed, get this changed, get this changed. I totally agree with that. I also think job security, saving money, so important right now. Or not even saving money, just not spending. Not spending money you don't have, paying off debts, things like that are really important right now. The emotional side of it is really important to make sure. So that fourth thing is like, don't go down rabbit holes. Just, it's so easy to come up with end of day apocalyptic ideas, but we don't know yet. And I do think that we will get some crumbs leading up to any big major decisions, right? Like we will see some little bit of crumbs happening, right? So try to make sure that you're taking care of your mental, okay? Do not allow yourself to spiral too far down the rabbit hole. It is something that Jaylee and I practice a lot, particularly in the last year. We have been like, you know what? I feel like there's a rabbit hole. We already have what our action plan will be. We don't have to go down this hole if we don't want to. So I really suggest that for you. Taking care of that mental part of all of this is going to be so important, because if shit goes down and hits the fan, you have to have up here like as stable as possible in order to take those actions in those plans that you've made, right? So I think then, the fifth thing that I would just add, just because 5 is a nice number, right? I think the fifth thing is just like, really do your best to mitigate how much information you're taking in from the news cycle. A lot of content creators, and this is no shade, like I'm not, content creators, news outlets, LGBTQ news outlets, trans news outlets, a lot of companies and nonprofits, they're going to be using a lot of fear to keep you engaged, to keep you liking things, to keep you commenting, to keep you buying products. They're going to use that. And it's not that it's even like a bad thing, right? Because some of it isn't even like trying to use fear. Some of it's just like there's a lot of news going on and it can feel really fearful and scary when you just have a lot of news and all of it includes trans people and you're a trans person, right? But if you could figure out times or accounts that maybe you don't want to follow, maybe you don't need to follow Pink News, them, what are the other ones? I don't know. There's like a bunch of like LGBT, The Advocate, like maybe you don't need to follow all of them because at the end of the day, they all end up cycling the same news information. So maybe you just pick one and you unfollow the rest, right? Like maybe you are going to find 2 trans creators who are journalists, right? And you're just going to do those 2. You're just going to follow those 2 people to get your trans news from a trans journalist. Maybe you're just going to follow ACLU and something else, right? At Point of Pride, like we try to really balance good stories and positivity with news stories. So maybe you're going to follow us, right? Shameless plug. At Point of Pride ORG on Instagram. But thinking of it like that, right? Like try to manage what information you're taking in. Because at the end of the day, social is really just like the news or ESPN. It's just like the same stories. It's like there's 10 stories and this first, TV show or like newscaster does the 10 stories. Then the next newscaster does the same 10 stories, but they're different because it's their perspective. And then it's the next news source, right? So just try to find ways to really allocate who is getting your time and making sure like if you've read it once, you probably don't need to read it 4 more times, right? So, some people are news junkies. It's fine. At the end of the day, y'all know me. You do you and what you feel I don't know you. So you need to do what you feel is best. These are the things that I'm going to do and hopefully maybe some of them will inspire you to do these things as well. And again, I know 5 is a round number. I shouldn't have another one, but I would say number 6. I don't even know why I numbered them. Whatever. Safety. Safety is so important. If you don't feel safe going to Pride, don't go to Pride. If you don't feel safe standing up for trans rights in a public space in any discourse, don't do it, right? If you don't want to tell people you're trans when you meet them, don't do it. If you don't want to engage in conversation about trans folks, don't do it. Like, you know, just walk away. Don't share that information, right? Like, if you don't want to be an advocate in that moment, you don't have to be. It is not time for us all to be telling each other that we have to stick up for everything, because everyone, it's like a chorus. Like, one person sings and then this person takes a breath, so that when this person needs to take a breath, this person is singing. And you go back and forth, right? So you're like singing, taking a breath. Then they're singing, you're taking a breath, right? And so that's what we have to do. Because there'll be moments where you're like, I'm definitely saying something. And then there'll be moments where you're like, I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe saying something. I don't feel safe using the bathroom right here. I don't feel safe around these people right now. I'm going to just remain quiet for my own safety. So put your safety first. It is the most important above all things. So you just being trans is an act of resistance. Just leave it at that. You know what I mean? Do your best to continue living your life, not ignorant of what's going on, but with the know-how and the ambition that in 4 years from now, you will be okay. Right? That's it. So, if you have things that you're doing, please comment them below. I think just sharing all of these ideas. I'm really concerned about mental. I think that, again, physical stuff, we can all go online and search, like, what to do in a new administration as a trans person. Is all going to be physical things you can physically do. But also, like, what about how we're feeling? What about our mental? What about what we're looking at on our phones, right? Like, what about these things? Those are the things that really concern me and the things that I'm really thinking a lot about. So, yeah, comment, let me know, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.